My roommate kept saying, "Your stuff is my stuff, right? That's what roommates do." So I agreed. When he came home yesterday, I'd helped myself to his PlayStation, his clothes, and his girlfriend's phone number. I'm Ben, 29 years old, male, and I'm writing this with my hands still smelling like someone else's cologne because Derek, 31 years old, male, my roommate, decided my bathroom cabinet was community property. That's where this whole thing started, little invasions masquerading as jokes. He'd lift my hoodie off the chair on his way out. Your stuff is my stuff, right? That's what roommates do. And I'd laugh because I needed the rent split and, honestly, I wanted to believe he was just being friendly. Minneapolis is expensive and I was raw from a breakup. I told myself generosity was a virtue, even if it felt like sandpaper on my nerves. Derek arrived with two things, a PlayStation and an energy that made my apartment feel smaller. He has this restless way of moving, like he's always 3 steps into an argument you haven't noticed yet. He flips on lights, opens windows, paces while he's on the phone. He's charismatic, the kind of guy who slaps your shoulder when he laughs and suddenly you're holding a beer you didn't ask for. And underneath it, there's static. The first week he borrowed my frying pan and left it caked with egg, then my shampoo, then the blanket my grandmother crocheted. He spilled salsa on it at 3 in the morning. Bro, it's all love. I brushed it off because he'd Venmo me $5 and shoot me that grin like we were in on a prank together. Lena, 27 years old, female, Derek's girlfriend, is the opposite. Soft voice, a constellation tattoo on her wrist, the kind of person who folds the edge of a napkin while she's talking, so her hands have somewhere to put their nervous. She'd come over on Thursdays and bring a grocery bag of lemons and rosemary chicken she was marinating for Derek. It made me miss simple things. She called me Benny once and I was embarrassed by how good that felt. I kept my distance out of respect. He'd hang his arm around her shoulder and smirk like he owned a parade and the rest of us were confetti. It wasn't one thing that made my stomach clench around the word no. It was the accumulation. He moved one of my framed photos, a picture of me and my sister at Lake Superior, off the hallway shelf to make room for his dumb neon lava lamp. He knocked over the frame and the glass spiderwebbed and he laughed. Adds character. The cracked glass looked like a map you'd follow if you wanted to get lost on purpose. I put it face down on my desk and told myself I'd fix it. I didn't. There was a night early on where Derek came home wired from some bar league darts game and banged his elbow into my mom's ceramic mixing bowl, the only thing I kept after she passed. It slipped, hit the tile, and split like an egg, 2 clean pieces and a handful of dust. I made a sound I didn't recognize. He froze, then deflated, then smiled again like he could force the room back into place. Dude, it's a bowl. He swept it into the trash with one hurried breath, like the more he moved, the less it mattered. Your stuff is my stuff, right? He said, softer, almost apologetic, and I heard the question mark. My jaw hurt from clenching. I texted Renee, 30 years old, female, friend from work, a picture of the trash bag with dust still clinging to the plastic. She sent a long string of skull emojis and then, set boundaries, Benny. He's not a golden retriever. He knows doors. I typed out a paragraph about the rent and how the lease had my name on it and how I could handle this like an adult. I deleted it. The apartment smelled like Derek's cologne, a lemony, cut glass scent, and the place felt like a hotel room I'd forgotten to check out of. A week later, he held Lena's hand in my kitchen and told her, right in front of me, Benny's practically my brother. My stuff, his stuff, we share. He bumped my shoulder with the back of his hand like we were teammates, and something oily slid behind my ribs. I smiled for Lena because she had that napkin folding thing going again. In my head, I was measuring spoons, shelves, breaths. Counting what I still owned, counting what he'd already taken. Derek's mantra, your stuff is my stuff, started grinding into me like static you can't turn off. One night I came home from work and my guitar was gone. Panic hit first. That guitar was the one thing I carried out of my mom's house after the funeral. Derek strolled in 10 minutes later, reeking of beer, grinning, and said, "Oh, dude, chill. I loaned it to my buddy for his open mic. He'll bring it back." Like it was a pack of cigarettes. I couldn't even find words. Just walked into my room, shut the door, and stared at the cracked photo of me and my sister, glass still spiderwebbed. The next week, I caught him in my room, not knocking, not asking, digging through my closet for a jacket because he had a date. "Relax," he said when I snapped. "We're brothers. Brothers share." That word, brothers. It made my skin crawl. Brothers don't bulldoze your boundaries and then laugh when you flinch. Brothers don't toss your grief into the trash like a broken bowl. Then came the party. Derek decided our apartment was perfect for hosting his Dart League buddies and didn't tell me until I walked in on 10 drunk strangers eating the leftovers I'd been saving for lunch. They were sprawled on my couch, feet on my coffee table, one guy actually wearing my hoodie. Derek introduced me like I was the live-in butler. "That's Benny, he's chill, he doesn't care about this stuff." The room laughed. I smiled like I was in on it, but inside something sharp clicked into place. The final straw wasn't even about me. It was Lena. She showed up early one Saturday, carrying groceries like always, and Derek was still asleep, dead to the world. I opened the door. She gave me this exhausted half-smile and whispered, "Can I put these in the fridge?" I helped her unload the bags, and for a few minutes it felt normal. Two people in a kitchen, slicing lemons, talking quietly. She noticed the photo of my sister, finally reframed after weeks, and asked about it. "No one ever asked," I told her. She touched the cracked glass with her fingertip and said, "You must miss her a lot." My throat locked. Derek stormed out of his room then, shirtless, hair a mess, demanding coffee. He saw Lena and me standing too close and his eyes narrowed. "You guys bonding without me?" he snapped. He said it like a joke, but the air went heavy. Lena stepped back fast, mumbling about the chicken she brought. Derek laughed, grabbed my mug out of my hand and said, "See? My stuff, his stuff, doesn't matter. It's all love." That was the moment I decided. If Derek wanted everything to be communal, if he really believed my stuff was his stuff, then I was done holding back. I started small, wearing his cologne before work, slipping his hoodie into my gym bag. But in my head, I was already building something bigger. A way to make him feel the same hollow theft he'd forced on me. And when Lena left her phone on the counter one night, screen lighting up with his name, I caught myself memorizing her number before I even thought twice. Don't forget to subscribe. The day Derek's buddy finally brought back my guitar, the neck had a hairline crack. My stomach dropped when I saw it, like someone had split open my last piece of home. Derek just shrugged. "It's still playable. Chill, bro." That was when I stopped pretending. I started using his things openly. Not sneaky, not asking. His PlayStation was the first. I loaded up my old saves, rearranged his controller settings, left crumbs on the couch. He walked in one night to see me mid-game and froze. "That's my system." I didn't even look up. "Our system, right? That's what you keep saying." He stared, twitching, and then laughed too loud, clapping my shoulder so hard my teeth clicked. But I saw the crack in his act, the twitch in his jaw. 2 nights later, he came home to find me wearing his favorite leather jacket, the one he bragged about scoring vintage. He tried to play it off. "Looking sharp, Benny, just don't spill salsa on it." His laugh sounded jagged, like broken glass. That same week, I took Lena's number out of my pocket and used it. Just a simple message. "Hey, it's Ben. Derek's roommate. Wanted to check on you after last time. You seemed off." She responded an hour later. "Appreciate that. It gets a little much sometimes." I didn't push further, not yet. But knowing she answered, that was enough to tilt the balance. Then came Derek's explosion. I'd moved his neon lava lamp from the shelf back into his room because it blocked my photo of my sister. He noticed instantly. "Why'd you touch my stuff?" His voice cracked on the word my. I stood there, calm. "Our stuff, Derek. Isn't that what you said?" His face twisted, red blotches crawling up his neck. He grabbed the lamp, tripped over the coffee table, and it shattered on the floor in a splash of liquid and broken glass. He roared, "You're sabotaging me!" So loud the neighbors banged on the wall. Lena was there. She'd come by with groceries again. She froze in the kitchen, clutching a bag of lemons while Derek stood panting over the mess. I locked eyes with her. She looked scared. Not at me. At him. That night, I heard him pacing his room, muttering. The walls carried everything. He thinks he's smarter. He thinks he can steal from me. The crash of a drawer slamming shut. Then silence. I didn't sleep. I lay awake, staring at the cracked photo frame, listening for the next sound. The next morning, his jacket was gone from my chair, his cologne bottle from the bathroom. Petty reclaiming. But my toothbrush, too, snapped in half in the trash. That was when I knew. Derek wasn't just unstable. He was escalating. And if he wanted war, I was ready to turn his own rules against him completely. Derek came home one night reeking of whiskey, shoulders jerking like he'd been shadowboxing ghosts all the way up the stairs. I was sitting in his jacket again, controller in hand, blasting through his PlayStation save. He saw it and snapped like a hinge coming loose. "That's my profile," he barked. His voice cracked high and ugly. "Our profile," I corrected, calm, fingers still on the buttons. He lunged. No build-up, no warning, just straight for the controller in my hands. We wrestled, plastic creaking between us until it split, one half dangling by a wire. The crash echoed. Derek's face twisted into something feral, veins bulging. "You're a parasite," he spat, pushing me so hard I stumbled into the coffee table. I felt the corner slam into my hip, pain shooting down my leg. My first instinct was to swing back, but I didn't. I stood, breathing through the ache, staring him down. "Funny," thought parasites take. "You're the one who's been chewing through my life." That broke him. He screamed, actually screamed, and hurled the broken controller at the wall, where it splintered into black plastic guts. Then he stormed into his room, slamming the door so hard the photo of my sister rattled off its shelf and landed face down again. By morning, payback started in his own language. I pulled on his hoodie, spritzed his cologne, and left his sneakers at the front door soaked from accidentally spilling mop water. Petty, yeah. But the way he froze when he saw them, muttering, "He's doing this on purpose," told me I had him cornered. That weekend, Lena came over while Derek was out with the guys. She lingered in the doorway like she wasn't sure if she should even step in. Her eyes flicked to the jacket on my shoulders. "That's Derek's," she said softly. I nodded. "Yeah. He says we share everything." Silence stretched, heavy. She set her grocery bag down, and for the first time she didn't rush to defend him. She just whispered, "You don't deserve the way he treats you." Before I could answer, the door slammed. Derek was back early. His eyes swept from her to me, to the jacket, to the groceries. His mouth opened like he was about to howl. Instead, he stomped into the kitchen, ripped open a beer, and chugged half of it in one go. Then he threw the can against the sink where it burst, spraying foamy streaks up the cabinets. "You think you're slick, Benny?" His voice was shaking. "Taking my girl's sympathy, my clothes, my system? You want to be me?" I didn't answer. I just held his stare, letting the silence needle him. That was worse than any insult. He lost it. Grabbed the photo of me and my sister and hurled it at the ground, glass shattering into 1,000 new cracks. Lena gasped. I froze, every muscle in my body screaming to swing. But instead, I stepped forward, slow, deliberate, and whispered so only he could hear. "Your stuff is my stuff, Derek. Remember?" He flinched like I'd hit him. That was the moment. The hook sank in. He knew I wasn't just tolerating anymore. I was turning his game inside out, and he couldn't control it. Don't forget to subscribe. Update. Didn't think I'd be back this fast, but after what went down last night, I can't sleep, and honestly, some of y'all's comments have been living rent-free in my head. First off, holy hell, I didn't expect so many people to chime in. Some of you are calling Derek a narcissistic toddler in a man's body. Accurate. Others said I should have kicked him out weeks ago. Believe me, I've thought about it. One guy messaged me, "Bro, you're living with a feral raccoon that figured out how to pay rent." That one had me laughing until it hurt. But some comments cut deep too. The ones asking why I didn't deck him the second he smashed my sister's photo again. Why I let him talk to Lena the way he does. Why I keep swallowing it. The truth? I've been afraid. Afraid of losing the lease, afraid of being alone again, afraid that standing up would make me exactly like him, screaming, breaking things, leaving wreckage behind. But after last night, after he shattered the picture again while Lena stood there shaking with lemons in her hands, something in me snapped the right way. A quiet kind of snap. The kind that doesn't yell, it plans. I'm not going to burn the apartment down, though shout out to whoever suggested salting his shampoo, tempting. But I've decided, if Derek wants everything to be communal, then it's communal. No boundaries, no ownership, no safety net. I'm done playing defense. I already started small. His sneakers, his hoodie, his cologne. He sees it. He knows it. And now it's going bigger. He's going to feel the same hollow theft he shoved down my throat, except worse, because I'll make sure it's in front of Lena. Some of you said, get out before he hurts you. I hear you. But no. He picked this game. I'm going to finish it. And when he comes home next, he's not going to find me hiding. He's going to find me sitting right there, controller in hand, his world already in my hands. Stay tuned. The next night, I made sure I was home when Derek stormed in from darts. He smelled like sweat and whiskey, but this time I didn't move out of his way. I was on the couch, his PlayStation humming, his jacket on my back, and Lena's number glowing on my phone screen. Bro, what the hell? He barked. I tilted the screen toward him. Lena says hi. He froze. Just for a second. Enough. His pupils blew wide, jaw twitching like he was trying to chew through stone. You don't, he started, but I cut him off. You said everything's shared. That includes her number, right? The silence stretched until I could hear his pulse in the drywall. He lunged for the phone. I slipped it into my pocket before he got close. He slammed his hand against the wall instead, leaving a dent the size of his fist. You think this is funny? You think you can steal my life? I stood, slow and steady. Not stealing. Sharing. That word broke him. He grabbed the nearest chair and hurled it at the counter. Wood cracked, a leg splintering off. Neighbors banged on the wall again. His face was purple, spit flying. You're dead, Benny. You're so dead. I didn't flinch, just picked up the broken leg of the chair and leaned it against the counter. Fix your mess, I said calmly, and walked into my room. The next morning I made it worse. I'd slipped one of his shirts into my laundry, washed it with bleach, hung it in the bathroom where he couldn't miss it. White splotches bloomed like rot across the fabric. When he saw it, he howled. Slammed my door so hard my shelves rattled. Later, while he was in the shower, I plugged in his PlayStation and deleted his saved data. Years of progress, gone in seconds. I left the console on so the empty menu screen greeted him. The sound he made when he found out wasn't human. A guttural scream that ended in sobs. He actually cried, sitting on the floor in front of the TV, clutching the controller shards he hadn't thrown out yet. Lena walked in right then. She froze at the sight. Derek on the carpet, red-eyed, rocking like a child. She looked at me. I didn't say a word, just shrugged, letting the silence tell the story. When she put the groceries down and whispered, I can't do this anymore, I knew. This wasn't just revenge anymore. This was the start of Derek unraveling completely. And I was going to make sure every thread came loose. The morning after Lena saw Derek crying on the carpet, she didn't stay the night. I heard the door click around midnight, soft as a secret. Derek noticed too. He sat at the kitchen table until sunrise, beer cans lined up like soldiers, staring at nothing. By noon, his meltdown was fully loaded. He stormed into my room without knocking, ripped open my dresser drawers, and threw clothes across the floor. Where's my stuff? He screamed. I sat on the bed, calm. Everything here is ours, remember? That line broke him again. He grabbed my lamp and hurled it against the wall, shards spraying across the carpet. My ears rang from the crash. You're a thief. You're a psycho. You're trying to ruin me. I stood, towering over him. You ruined yourself. That night, he dragged me into his chaos outside. He insisted we hit his usual dive bar, said we needed to settle this like men. I agreed because by then, Watching him self-destruct in front of witnesses felt better than any punch I could throw. At the bar, Derek drank like a man trying to erase himself. Shots, then beers, then shots again. He started slurring about me, stealing his girl, his game, his life. At first, people laughed, thought it was drunk talk. But then he stood on a chair and screamed, "Benny's a rat who stole my woman." The whole place went silent. Lena wasn't even there. He just wanted an audience. Someone muttered, "Jesus, Derek, sit down." But he doubled down, smashed his glass against the counter, beer foaming over his hand. The bartender kicked him out on the spot. He turned to me, spit flying, and shouted, "You're not my brother, you're nothing." On the sidewalk, he shoved me hard enough to send me staggering into a trash can. The lid clattered, bottles rolling into the street. People pulled out their phones. Derek noticed and screamed at them too. "Don't film me. He's the psycho, not me." I stood up slow, brushing glass from my jacket, his jacket, and whispered so only he could hear, "Keep digging, Derek. The hole's already deep." He tried to swing. Wild, sloppy. I stepped back and let him miss, let him stumble into the brick wall and split his knuckle. Blood smeared across his own shirt. By the time we got back to the apartment, Lena's absence was permanent. Her toothbrush was gone from the bathroom, her grocery bag missing from the fridge. Derek saw it, went pale, then red, then slammed his fist into the doorframe until the wood cracked. "She's mine," he whispered to himself, shaking. "She's mine." But she wasn't. And soon, everyone would know it. Update 2. Well, Reddit, you called it. Derek finally snapped in public, and it was glorious. First, thanks to everyone who said, "Don't swing first, let him expose himself." Y'all were right. I didn't have to lift a finger at that bar. Derek climbed up on a chair, screamed about me stealing his girl, smashed his glass, and got tossed out like a drunk extra from cops. People filmed it. I've already been tagged in one of the clips floating around, captioned, "Local guy loses his girlfriend and his mind." Derek's face is everywhere now, red-eyed and spitting like a rabid dog. Some of you said I should move out, cut my losses, block him forever. I get it. But I'm not done yet. Not when the guy shattered my mom's bowl, trashed my sister's photo twice, and tried to paint me as the crazy one. Nah. He wanted everything to be shared. He's about to learn what sharing really feels like. And Lena? She's gone. Cleared her stuff out while we were at the bar. Derek came home to an empty bathroom shelf and almost put his fist through the door. I didn't have to say a word. Just sat there in his jacket while he realized she'd chosen silence over his screaming. The DMs have been wild too. Some of you are unhinged in the best way. Shout out to the person who suggested I list his stuff on Facebook Marketplace for free pickup. Tempting. Another said I should text Lena from his phone, but honestly, I don't even need to. The way she looked at me the last time, quiet, steady, told me more than words ever could. So here's where I'm at. Derek's reputation is in flames, Lena's gone, and his grip on reality is cracking. I've got one more move left, the one that'll leave him staring at the wreckage he created, knowing I just mirrored his rules back at him. Stay tuned. The end is coming. Derek came home 2 days after Lena left like a ghost wearing his own skin. Unshaven, red eyes, shirt wrinkled, smelling of stale booze. He didn't even yell this time, just collapsed onto the couch and muttered, "She'll come back. She always does." I said nothing. Just watched him sink deeper into the cushions, gripping his phone like it was life support. He kept calling Lena, straight to voicemail, kept texting her. "Baby, please, he's lying to you. I'll change." I could see every word reflected in the dark TV screen. That's when I made my move. I'd already synced his PlayStation account to my phone weeks ago. He never logged out. So while he sat there spiraling, I queued up a mass post from his profile. Screenshots of his drunken bar meltdown, the chair throwing, the screaming, captioned with his own mantra, "My stuff is your stuff. My shame is your shame." Within minutes, his friends lit up the group chat. "Dude, WTF? Bro, are you okay?" Lena saw this? Derek stared at the notifications, face draining to white, then red, then blotchy purple. "You," he wheezed, turning toward me shaking. "You hacked me." I leaned forward, calm. No, I just shared. Like you taught me. He roared and launched himself across the room, swinging. But he was sloppy, drunk, half broken already. I sidestepped, and he crashed into the coffee table, splitting it in half. Wood cracked, beer cans flew, glass shattered across the floor. He lay there groaning, clutching his side. Neighbors pounded on the wall again, then on the door. One shouted, "We're calling the cops this time." I crouched next to him, voice low enough only he could hear. "This is what you wanted, Derek. No boundaries, no lines. Your life, wide open for everyone to see." He tried to lunge again but slipped in the spilled beer and collapsed back down, wheezing. His phone kept buzzing on the carpet. More notifications, more fallout. I picked it up, placed it gently on his chest and whispered, "Answer it. Everyone's waiting." Then I left him there, sprawled in the wreckage of his own rules. His own chaos turned against him. The cops came before Derek could even peel himself off the floor. Neighbors weren't bluffing this time. Two officers knocked, then pushed the door open when they saw him sprawled among broken wood and glass. "What happened here?" one asked. Derek tried to speak, but the words came out a slur. He stole everything." His finger shook in my direction. "My girl, my game, my life." The officer looked at the wreckage, then at me. Calm, steady, jacket unwrinkled, no cuts, no bruises. Then back at Derek, bleeding knuckle, shirt soaked with beer, pupils blown wide. "Sir," the cop said, "you need to come with us." They cuffed him on the spot. He howled, twisting, kicking at the overturned table, but the sound was hollow, like a man drowning in his own spit. The hallway filled with neighbors peeking out, phones filming. His humiliation spread wider in real time. As they dragged him out, I caught his eye one last time. He looked small, a tantrum child stuffed inside a grown man's body. "Your stuff is my stuff, Derek," I said softly. "Now it's everybody's." The door shut behind them. Silence. For the first time in months, the apartment felt like mine again. No sour cologne, no broken glass underfoot, no storm pacing the hall. Just me, four walls, and the photo of my sister, cracked but still standing. The next day, Lena texted me. "I saw the video. Thank you for not being him." I didn't reply. Not because I didn't want to, but because I realized I didn't need to. I swept the floors, fixed what could be fixed, threw the rest in the dumpster. Derek's PlayStation, shattered controller and all, lay on top of the trash bags like a dead relic. By the afternoon, it was gone. Someone else's problem now. For the first time, I breathed easy. No one barging into my room, no one touching my things, no one chanting, "Your stuff is my stuff," like a curse. Just quiet. Mine. And the best part? Derek was right all along. His stuff really was my stuff. His chaos, his lies, his downfall, shared, spread, posted, filmed. He gave it to me, and I gave it right back to him, full circle.